How are you all today? Hope you all are thriving, not just surviving. It is another day in America. Good grief, good God. Let's get a grip because, whew, it only just gets more and more crazy as the day goes on. And I say that every day, so. Sorry, y'all. I'm just trying to finish my breakfast before I go live. Hopefully that was not on camera. But anyway, hello and good morning. So it's Friday. I try not to make things too deep or substantive on Friday, though we are going to talk about some things that might be a little bit more deep in that sense. But also it's going to be a more chill, laid back day. You know what is just so problematic is when men say that women are stolen from them. Look, I am not a heterosexual. I am one of those girly pop fruit flavored boys, okay? But like guys saying, "Oh, she was stolen from me." It's like stolen is like an object. Stolen is like stealing an idea. You don't refer to women or people as being stolen from you, like there's some sort of property. So the fact that Donald Trump has like repeated over and over that, Virginia, by the way, I used to say Guffrey. I think it's actually pronounced Giuffre. So I will be referring to Virginia Guffrey as Virginia Giuffre, which I think is the way you pronounce it, as being stolen from Mar-a-Lago. Which, like, why would you use that phrasing, that terminology? Like, you don't, to me, it's like the way that you're phrasing, trying to even lie and cover up for your nefariousness, or even at best your complicity, already shows that, like, dude, you're deep in it. And it just shows that, like, we have a sexual predator as a president. I would not be surprised if he's not the first one, but he is the first very, very obvious one. So, the family of Virginia Giuffre is actually speaking out a little bit more. And they had a bigger interview with Caitlin Collins over on CNN. I'm going to share some of what happened in that interview. And we're going to be breaking down again the endless amounts of contradictions that have happened, as well as from Trump. And we're also going to be talking about getting into some of the comments from people online. So make sure to send some likes. I love all of you. I am under-caffeinated this morning, so just letting you all know. Try not to yawn on camera, because that would just be rude. Anyway, good morning, everyone. Please make sure to send some likes. I love all of you, even if you don't like me. So let's just briefly open up this discussion here. So, is it just me, or when Donald Trump said that Virginia Giuffre was stolen from Mar-a-Lago by Jeffrey Epstein, that's a huge red flag. That's a huge red flag. I don't think we need to go even further and dive into that discussion to talk about how problematic that is. Throughout history, we have overcome very, 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 oh gosh, what's the word? Like, primal behavior of viewing other people as property. Women are not someone's property. People are not someone's property. Like, they're not to be, like, stolen or traded. Like, that's so, I mean, it also goes to the deep, dark parts of our, global history with slavery and everything. So when someone like Donald Trump says that Virginia Giuffre was stolen from Mar-a-Lago by Jeffrey Epstein, stolen also shows that they have value, okay? Stolen also shows that they have inherent value. Like, oh, you stole that from me. If you were to steal an idea from me, it's like, oh, well, then I would view that idea as good, and then that has value. Which, okay, that's great that he views it that way, but it's also stolen, like, property-wise. So, like, Donald Trump says a lot of stuff. You could say, oh, it's not that deep. But, like, how do you know when it is deep, when it's not deep? See, this is the thing with Donald Trump. He just opens his mouth and immediately everything becomes a scandal and controversy because of his personality. Yeah, people cannot be stolen. They can be kidnapped. Property is stolen. People aren't property. Facts. So let's break this down a little bit further here. Sky Roberts, the brother of Jeffrey Epstein victim Virginia Giuffre, took her own life in April, criticized President Donald Trump's claim that Giuffre was, quote, stolen from Jeffrey Epstein by the late sex offender on CNN's The Source with Caitlin Collins. Sky, your sister was just 16 years old when she was working at Mar-a-Lago in 2000, and when she was recruited by Ghislaine Maxwell, the CNN host Caitlin Collins said during an interview, quote, as this has played out over the last few weeks, I imagine you're probably surprised when the Justice Department sent their number 2 in charge to go sit down with Ghislaine Maxwell. So when you say the Justice Department, just as a FYI, Todd Blanche is our Deputy Attorney General. So you have Pam Bondi, you probably know that. She's the blonde-haired lady. That's our Attorney General. Todd Blanche is the Deputy Attorney General. So that's what they said. That's when Caitlin Collins said, yeah, you're second in charge to go sit down. And the Trump administration instructed Todd Blanche to go and meet with Ghislaine Maxwell. So that's what they're talking about. So she says, well, how does that make you feel given what Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein have done with your family? And Sky, her brother, said, we were very surprised. I think, she was preyed upon by Ghislaine Maxwell, as well as many other predators out there, but she was preyed upon at Mar-a-Lago. And we were very shocked and very surprised that they were giving her a voice and giving her a platform to essentially make a deal, her referring to Ghislaine Maxwell. And reality to that is there's so many survivors still out there that are affected by that, including my sister, who's not here to speak for herself. Basically illuminating the fact that Virginia Giuffre actually ended up taking her own life back in April of, I don't know what year it was, but point is there. The Trump Justice Department, led by Pam Bondi and assisted by Todd Blanche, have met with Ghislaine Maxwell, either have met or planning on meeting, I'm not quite sure, I'd have to double check, with Ghislaine Maxwell in order to talk about testimony, next steps, stuff like that. Now, I am not opposed to hearing more from Ghislaine Maxwell, but I want to be very clear, and this is my opinion, you can disagree. Why would we even entertain the possibility of giving her a pardon? She was already convicted. Now, here's the thing. To be very, very fair, Donald Trump has not said he plans on pardoning her at all. He's never said it. What he has said is he said, well, I'd have the authority to do it. I'd have the power to do it. I'd have the opportunity to do it. I could do it if I wanted to. It's not even something that you should ever even consider. It's not something you should even consider. But right now there's a lot of speculation from people saying that, well, Todd Blanche might be meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell in order to negotiate some sort of information that Ghislaine Maxwell will share in exchange for keeping Trump's name out of it. And in return, Ghislaine Maxwell will get a pardon from Trump. That's all speculation. Now, it very much well could happen. I think that's a very high possibility. Though the facts that we know as of right now is that Todd Blanche has or is planning on meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell, who's convicted sex trafficker. The administration does not have any plans or anything to pardon her, though Donald Trump has said that I have the opportunity, I have the ability to pardon her. It's not something you should ever consider. That being said, the family of victims like Virginia Giuffre are speaking out against all of this. Continuing on, reacting to the possibility of Trump pardoning or making some kind of deal with Maxwell, her brother, Virginia Giuffre's brother, the victim, one of the most notable victims of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, her brother said, "She deserves to rot in prison where she belongs because of what she's done to my sister and so many other women, and it's absolutely a pure sense of evil." And I agree. Like, it is purely evil doing that kind of stuff. Please make sure to send some likes. I love all of you. They did meet with her without anyone but her attorney and someone from the AG office. Okay, thank you, Janice. I appreciate it. Her brother then continued saying, quote, "She wasn't stolen. She was preyed upon at his property, at Trump's property." He protested. Stolen seems impersonal. It feels very much like an object. And these survivors are not objects. Women are. Okay, how about now? Can you all hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Back. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so, you know, I hate it. I hate it when I'm doing my live stream on my phone and I start getting a call. Especially if it's a spammy call. Which that one was a spammy call. Because it interrupts the entire live stream. It interrupts the entire live stream. Ugh. Anyway. But, so he says that, yes, women are not objects. Like, stolen seems very impersonal. It seems very impersonal. And I'm pointing all of this out here because the family has been through, obviously, a lot. Has been through a lot. And they're only now really sitting down with Caitlin Collins because after everything that has happened, it's like, you know what, well, maybe we will come forward and share, you know, what we know, our story here. And the biggest thing to note, in my opinion, and you can disagree, about everything happening with Jeffrey Epstein right now is that Donald Trump's lying, his story does not add up. As Ellie Honig, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Honig explains on CNN, and I only watched this clip, but he's saying exactly the stuff that I would. It's like, there's a lot of contradictions here. Even according to Donald Trump's own story. According to Donald Trump's own story. The person that is implicating Donald Trump in his guilt being connected to Jeffrey Epstein is Donald Trump. Like, he is actively making the situation that he is in worse because he cannot keep his darn mouth shut. And low-key, I'm kind of living for it, personally, because, you know, it's I view it as karma. I view it as very much as karma. But, I mean, seriously, he is contradicting his own story. You know that person that is always going back and forth with their story, and it's like, okay, well, which one is the real truth? If you can't keep your story straight, it means that you're trying to hide something. Well, Donald Trump cannot keep his story straight. And you're like, well, what? Okay. First of all, how did Donald Trump come to have his 16-year-old Virginia Giuffre working in his spa in 2000? Okay. First of all. And then he continues saying, okay, second of all, when Jeffrey Epstein stole her, what did he think Jeffrey Epstein was stealing her to do? He was in finance. A 16-year-old going to work in high finance. Well, to be fair, I guess she could have been an intern or some sort of assistant of some kind, though I don't know if she was qualified in that sense. But, I mean, they're also asking, you know, the question of high finance. Third of all, if that's the cause, then that stealing, I'm using his word, of Virginia Giuffre in 2000 was the cause of their relationship ending, then why did 2 years later, in 2002, does Donald Trump tell New York Magazine that Jeffrey Epstein was a wonderful guy who likes women on the younger side? And next, what do you mean that he likes girls on the younger side? What were you basing that on? Which women were you talking about? How young? And finally, what was the real reason for the fallout? Either he was poaching your employees or he was acting like a creep, as Caroline Levitt said today. A lot of contradictions here, and they get deeper every single day. So that's also the thing. Initially, Donald Trump said he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago for being a creep. I'm not going to confirm nor deny that. I don't know. I would like to see more evidence with that. That's his own claim. He said, I kicked out Jeffrey because he was a creep. Because he was a creep. Says the guy who said that he can grab women by the pussy. And also that he has the ability to just go in at teen USA pageants or some sort of like teen beauty pageant of some kind and go in and just inspect it without getting the consent. Like, this is a guy who also joked about laughing at someone else's joke saying that he was a sexual predator and said, then quote, "It's true." So like, for him to say that Jeffrey Epstein, oh, he's a creep, it's like, well, you do realize, Donald Trump, you are also a creep. Like, and I would say that to his face and be like, look, Donald, considering everything that you've literally said we have audio of and video evidence of, you're also a creep. I would also probably say that to Bill Clinton, or maybe, well, to an extent, possibly with Joe Biden, because there have been some women who've come forward about that. Especially Joe Biden would like sniff women's hair. It's like, ooh, dude. But like, just being fair in that sense. But like, if you are outraged, this is the thing. If you are outraged at the things that Biden or Clinton have done in regards to nefarious, unconsensual actions with women, then I cannot imagine how you can accept or be okay with Donald Trump and all of the myriad of things that he's done to women. I mean, if you have this idea that you condemn Clinton and you condemn Biden for unconsensual actions with women, but then you somehow excuse Trump, I have one question for you. What is it like to be a propagandist? A cog in the machine for the Republican Party? Someone says, it's like listening to a Karen. You know, dude, it's so funny that you are striving to get my attention. Because that's what Karens do. That all being said, like, what is it like being a propagandist in that way? Where you are choosing to act upon what instances matter instead of calling out all of them. And thank you, Lily J. Lily J's like, cope. Yeah. All these people come in here and start whining and screaming. And it's like, do you really have nothing else better to do? You don't like my life? Scroll on. Scroll on. Anyway. That all being said, it's important to point out that the timeline does not make sense. Hold on, where's the screenshot where it talks about the timeline? Yes, I'm gay. If you think that's an insult, then that shows... If you think that's supposed to be an insult, then bless your heart. Oh geez, where's the hold on. Hold on just a second. Hold on. There we go. Giuffre was 16 when she was stolen. That's Trump's own words, stolen from Mar-a-Lago in 2000. In 2002 is the infamous piece in New York Magazine where he says that Jeffrey Epstein is a terrific guy, wonderful guy, and who loves women, particularly ones on the younger side. And Donald Trump and Epstein remained close after the fact until it was around like 2004 when they both were bidding on the same Palm Beach estate. I talked about that a little bit yesterday, or at least I queued it up to be talked about yesterday. So Donald Trump's own story of her being stolen and how he kicked out Jeffrey Epstein, ended his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein over stealing women from Mar-a-Lago, does not add up, considering the facts that we have at hand. You know that one friend who continues to lie over and over and over and like cannot get their story straight, and then they keep trying to tell it and it gets more and more confusing? It's like, okay, if you cannot get your story straight, that means you're obviously trying to hide something, as several other people pointed out here. And like, this person said, for someone who lies 24/7, you think he could be better at this. So he recently had an interesting little moment with Rachel Scott on ABC, with ABC News. And for those people who are like, yeah, Rachel Scott, I know that name. I know that name. So I didn't prepare the backgrounds for it, but do you all remember during the presidential campaign, the race with Kamala Harris and Trump back in 2024? Do you all remember the latest presidential election when Donald Trump went on the National Association of Black Journalists panel? It was the NABJ. NABJ. You all remember when it was 3 black women journalists up there? I forget the name of one of them, but it was Harris Faulkner of Fox. It was Rachel Scott of ABC, and then another one of Semaphore. And this is notable because Rachel Scott is the person that was going back and forth with Donald Trump and was like, you know, basically asked him a question about Kamala Harris's ethnicity, blah, 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 blah. And then he goes, well, I didn't know that she was black until a couple years back when she decided to turn black. She decided, I only knew her from Indian heritage. I only knew her of Indian heritage. And then all of a sudden, a couple years back, she decided to be black. She decided to be black. I want to know when she turned black. Do you all remember that? Rachel Scott was the person that asked the question initially. And so, and then later on, Donald Trump at one point was like, yeah, and all these undocumented immigrants are taking black jobs. Do you all remember that clip? Do you all remember when he said that all these illegals are taking black jobs? They're taking the black jobs. And Rachel Scott was like, sir, what is a black job? So that's the person that is asking him. Do you all remember that? It was the funniest thing ever. And then Donald Trump goes, a black job is anyone that has a job. Anyway, but so Rachel Scott, the person that was going back and forth with him in that instance, asked another question about Jeffrey Epstein. So Trump snipes at ABC's Rachel Scott for asking about Epstein victim. And of course he responds like, oh, you're fake news. You're fake news. So President Donald Trump went on ABC News went after ABC News White House correspondent Rachel Scott after asking about Jeffrey Epstein's victim, Virginia Giuffre, who Trump said Epstein stole from Mar-a-Lago. During a question and answer session at the White House Thursday, Scott confronted the president about a statement issued by the family of Giuffre in which they pleaded with Trump to never consider giving Ghislaine Maxwell any leniency. And so Rachel Scott says, Mr. President, sir, you said that Jeffrey Epstein stole people from Mar-a-Lago. At the time, did you know why he was taking those young women, including Virginia Giuffre? And Trump, obviously irritated, says, no, I didn't. Hold on, I need the hands. The Trump impression doesn't make any sense unless I have the hands. No, I didn't. No, I did. No, I didn't. I figured it'd be ABC fake news that would ask the question. Figured one of the worst, one of the most deplorables. And so then the president went on to reiterate his claim that he threw out Epstein at Mar-a-Lago because he stole employees, despite him literally saying previously, and I'm sure that there are MAGA people that now are denying this, he said that he threw out Epstein for being a creep. And it's like, okay, so, and you said that around 2005, you threw out Epstein for being a creep. And now you're saying that you threw Epstein out. You said that you ended your friendship with him because he stole people back in 2000. Unless he can't get his years straight, which sounds like it. Like, it's just, he can't even keep his own story straight. Let's just take for a second that this was Joe Biden. Let's just take for a second that this is Joe Biden. Let's pretend that Joe Biden said that he was a big friend of Jeffrey Epstein. Who knows? Who knows, okay? And let's say that Joe Biden said that he kicked out Jeffrey Epstein from his home in Delaware for being a creep back in 2005. And then back in 2000, he said that, I can't do a good Biden impression. I'm sorry. He's too basic and boring to do a really good Biden impression. I need Dana Carvey of SNL to do a good Biden impression. But just to pretend if Biden had said, you know, I kicked out Jeffrey because he stole employees from me. These MAGA people would be like, yeah, this doesn't add up. Which one is the truth? Which one is lying? Like, one of them has to be a lie, because both of them cannot be true at the same time. Someone says, you are not making sense. Sweetheart, it's not my fault that you do not have the capacity or ability to listen. Is your cognitive dissonance getting in the way? The point is, the story doesn't add up. You cannot have people stolen from you in 2000 and then also throw out that person, and you cannot have people stolen from you and say that you ended your relationship with that person in 2000. Go on to then say that they're a fantastic guy in a New York Magazine article, and that was in 2002. In 2005, then start getting into beef over a Mar-a-Lago, a like Palm Beach estate. You know what I mean. The timeline doesn't add up. That's the point here. The timeline doesn't add up. And I know that MAGA doesn't like to admit that the timeline doesn't add up, but it's your own guy. He can't get his story straight. Trump says that he ended his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein in 2000 when Jeffrey stole Virginia Giuffre in 2000. But then 2002 goes on to say that Epstein is an amazing guy. 2004, that's when he said he threw out Jeffrey Epstein for being a creep. So, like, were you friends and then not friends and then you decided to become friends again and then throw him out? Like, this, and the whole point of this here is, how can you trust someone who cannot even get their story straight? Donald Trump usually is a good liar, but if you can't get your story straight on this, then you obviously have something to hide. And you have to look at this from a critical point of perspective, because if this was Biden, you would not have Democrats all of a sudden trying to defend this. You wouldn't, because they're like, yeah, the timeline doesn't add up. Obviously one of them is a lie. So was he lying then or is he lying now? Like, it doesn't make sense. And so no matter how much, and this is the thing, the reason why people on the left say that MAGA is in a cult is because you try to accept this fabricated version of reality because it's convenient for you. Like, you try to accept two things that contradict each other at the same time because it's easier for you to accept contradictory statements than it is to admit that you were duped by a president. You were duped by Donald Trump. It's the reason why I talk about political psychology a lot is because of that. Hope you had the same energy when Biden was in office. I very much did. Ask people on my TikTok live streams. I was very much like this exact same thing. I called out Biden for a myriad of stuff. So you say you hope? Yes, I was. So anyway, I love all of you so much. I need to get to work, but I just wanted to share all of that out here, that Donald Trump cannot keep his story straight. And look, this doesn't have to be a divisive issue. This doesn't have to divide. Like, there are a lot of people that are trying to make this into an us versus them. This is not like, if you, regardless of your political affiliation, I'm a registered Democrat, I'm super progressive, I'm like the Bernie bro. If you're a registered Republican and you're in here, that's fine. We don't need to be divided on this topic. We don't whatsoever. The thing is, there's so much evidence coming out showing how much of a predator Donald Trump is. Can we not all align ourselves around that? Can we all not see how, can we all like recognize that fact? And the thing is, I know that there's going to be a subsection of people that double down on believing Donald Trump and trusting him. You should never trust politicians, ever, regardless of someone's political affiliation. And you're like, well, you trusted Biden. No, no. Someone said totally false. You're a fool. Wow, y'all are really feisty today. Let me say this unequivocally. Never trust politicians. Don't worship politicians and don't trust politicians. Not even the ones that you vote for. Why? Because trust is not something that should happen with politicians. Let's say I run for office. I don't want you to just trust me. I want you to hold me accountable. The thing is, it's very intellectually lazy if someone's like, oh, well, I voted for them, I trust them. Trust in like, oh, I support them, I cheer for them no matter what. That's for a sports team. I live in North Carolina. I'm a Carolina Hurricanes fan, hockey fan. On their good days, they play well, then great, I cheer for them. On their bad days, they don't play great, I still cheer for them. That's fine. But politics is different from sports. Politics is different from sports because the overall point is you don't just worship, you don't just trust, you don't just follow certain politicians. You hold them accountable. You don't work for them. They work for you. They work for you. So my whole point is don't trust politicians, not even the ones that you vote for. Trust is not something that we need to do. No, instead you hold them accountable. You hold them accountable. And if you can't understand that, then maybe you're the one that is completely blocking your critical thinking. So anyway, I love all of you. So I appreciate every single one of you, even if you don't like me. I have to get to work. Shout out to my amazing moderators. If this is the first time that you viewed me live, then please make sure to smash that subscribe button. I love all of you. Shout out to my moderators in here. Kate, Akicha, Alyssa. Y'all are all amazing. And also, who else is in here? Ellie, Cherie, Joanna Tech, Cantisa. Y'all are all incredible. So, just remember that you are beautiful, you are loved, you are valid, you are strong, and you are fierce. Don't let anyone or anything ever dim your shine. I love all of you so much. Bye!